Today we are making chicken, mushroom, and spinach lasagna. And we've got everything chopped ahead of time, and that's important to us. It works better if all the pieces are chopped ahead of time before you're ready to saute them. And with them, we are using oven-ready lasagna noodles. So they are hard, they're flat, they don't have the curly edges, but they work well with this. Now, keep in mind, when you use those, you've not boiled them, so you need to add more liquid, which we will do. Here's our onion and our garlic, and you can sort of see the onion isn't chopped small because we do want it to flavor. Our garlic is chopped pretty small. Our mushrooms are sliced pretty thin. We've chopped up our spinach and we've chopped up our chicken. You can use just about any type of cooked chicken. We poached chicken breasts earlier. You could use rotisserie chicken, you could use leftover chicken, it really doesn't matter. Now, the other thing that's going to flavor this is the nutmeg. And I don't know if you've seen whole nutmeg and a grater, but when we get ready to put this in the sauce, we will grate the nutmeg, and I'll show you how that happens. But these are the ingredients that we're going to start with, including our sauce, which is chicken broth and milk. It's going to be thickened with a little bit of cornstarch. We are going to start sauteing the onion in some hot oil along with the garlic, and this will start. We want the onion, we don't want it caramelized, we want it just nice and sauteed. We don't want the garlic to burn, so we're using medium-high heat to medium. Okay, so our onion and garlic is starting to saute. We have put a teaspoon of oregano, a teaspoon of basil, and a half a teaspoon of red pepper flakes. And those are going to go in with that. We're also going to use a generous pinch of salt as it sautés, and a little bit of black pepper. We'll stir it up so nothing burns, and we're just about ready to add the mushrooms. As a reminder, the recipe calls for dried oregano. We didn't happen to have any dried, but our garden has plenty of fresh, so we substituted fresh. And you need to use a little more fresh than dried just because of the flavor. But we're ready to add the mushrooms. So we'll get those in, get those stirred up. And they're going to release a whole bunch of water. Mushrooms just do that when they come in contact with heat. So we're going to let them sit for a minute. So the mushrooms have lost most of their moisture. We don't want them raw, but we definitely don't want them too moist, too soggy. They're going to go in the oven. They're going to cook more. So we're going to add the spinach. And keep in mind, this looks like a lot of spinach, but spinach wilts down very quickly into almost nothing. So we're going to add our spinach in and let this saute for just a couple of minutes. Okay, our spinach is wilted down. As you can see, the pan got considerably less. Now we're going to put our cooked chicken in, and we're going to stir it just a couple of times just to get it heated through, because it is going to bake. And then we're going to turn it off, and we're going to make our sauce. When a recipe calls for grated nutmeg, we like to use whole nutmeg and a grater. This one is specifically made for nutmeg, but any one with really, really tiny holes would work. So this is how we do it. You just do it like this. You might have to move the nutmeg around a little bit to get the outside layer. Make sure you get it all, and you're getting a nice fine grind of nutmeg. So if it calls for a teaspoon, just keep doing it and move your nutmeg around to get all of the outside. And you end up with a nice fine nutmeg. Okay, we're making the sauce for our lasagna, our chicken, mushroom, spinach. We have chicken broth and milk in here. We're going to add a pinch of salt, and we're going to heat it up to simmer And then we're going to add some cornstarch slurry to thicken it up a little. And we do the cornstarch slurry by adding cornstarch to water. We'll stir it up before we add it to the milk and chicken broth, but we need that to come to a simmer first. And as soon as that does, we'll add in the rest of the ingredients. Our milk and chicken broth has come to a simmer, so the first thing we're going to do is add the cornstarch slurry to this and make sure it's all mixed up. And we'll let that thicken. We're also going to add at this time our nutmeg that we grated earlier. And about a cup of our cheese. Now we used a combination of Gruyere and Parmigiano Reggiano. So it's about half and half, and it is a cup. So we're going to put it in there, stir it up, and let it thicken a little bit because our sauce has come to a simmer. It has thickened, and keep in mind we don't want it really, really thick because we're using no boil, oven-ready lasagna noodles. So they will absorb more. But this is sort of what the sauce looks like. It's not total runny. It's got some thickness to it, but it is the consistency we want. Okay, we're ready to assemble to get our lasagna all ready. We're going to put the sauce in the bottom. This is the cheesy sauce that we made, and I used maybe 3/4 of a cup. Now, these noodles are not going to be quite long enough for the pan. So I'm going to take one and break it and just add it to the end. And it's going to get covered up. The next layer is going to be our chicken, spinach, and mushroom layer. And we'll put it in like that. We'll add some cheese. And again, this is our Parmesan and our Gruyere mixture. Now we're going to add probably a good cup. So that didn't come out to be quite a cup. We're going to add some more noodles, and I press them down just to make them, and again I'm going to just break some and put them in the end. A little more chicken spinach mushroom. And you don't have to get it exact. Because it's all going to bake together and it's going to sort of mush together as you do it. A little more cheese. Definitely a good cup of the sauce. And our last layer of noodles. And our last layer of, okay, this is our last layer of the spinach chicken mushroom. We're going to add just a tiny bit more sauce on top. And it looks really wet, but keep in mind, these have not been cooked. You can finish it two ways. You can add another layer of this and put the cheese on top, or you can leave it like this and just put your cheese on top. That's up to you. At this point, we're going to just leave it like this and add our cheese to the top so that we have a nice layer of cheese. And we're ready to go. Now, this will get covered with foil and baked, Or at this stage, you can cover it with foil and put it in the refrigerator until it's time to bake. Take it out of the refrigerator probably 20 to 30 minutes before you want to bake it so that it has a little bit of time to get to room temperature, and then bake it and you're ready to eat.